Rocko, Mike, thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
Thank you.
we're excited. We're truly honored that you all reached out and wanted to collaborate with us in conjunction with your new single. This is awesome. But the overall theme of this episode 2 is Pete Mondello. So before we really dig into everything, I wanted to give you guys an opportunity to say some things if you wish, and we can talk about Pete for a little bit on the front end, and then he'll be in and out and for the rest of the episode as well.
You know, I didn't know him all that well. I'd met him a couple of times watching Area 51. Tim introduced me to him at the Legacy in Arlington. They were playing there one night. And as everybody's always said, you've heard everybody say, just 100% nice guy.
Yeah.
Happy, shook my hand. We talked for a while. We made fun of Tim, like we always do.
Yeah. Poor Tim.
It's interesting. You bring him up. Tim's band, Civil War, is the reason he moved here. He moved here to be in that band.
From New York.
Yes.
Yep.
From New Albany, I think is what Tim said.
Or Arbor, I can't remember, but from the north.
Yeah.
He's a fellow Yankee like me.
Yeah.
So
he's got a long history with Pete, and he's really affected him.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Did you know him at all, Rocko?
Well, I'd met him. I had done an open jam session at a place, a friend of ours named Johnny Stinson, and he would have these local musicians come in. John Kilsner came in once, and Pete was there and all that. And we just, the way it was set up, it was just a big room with a bunch of instruments in there, 2 drum sets and everything. And a bunch of us got up there and started jamming, playing some Allman Brothers, and he was back there. And that was the first time I ever met him, and played a few shows, or not shows, played a few songs with him and stuff. And he was an outstanding guy. Yeah. Left a big hole, though, in Memphis music.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So we love you, Pete. We'll miss you. But we'll keep honoring his life here throughout. But now we also want to celebrate you guys.
Yeah.
Baddest band in town. Right?
I don't know about that.
So we will be playing your song, your new single, Muddy Jesus. You guys created an awesome lyric video that I've watched several times. I dissected your whole song here, lyrics and all. So we're going to be geeking out on it at some point here and later in the episode. But let's get to know you guys. What's also great is by now we've had the whole band in here. We had Tim Dills early on. He was our first episode. John Patterson was supposed to be today, but we booted his ass to the side. And then now we get a double shot, with you guys in here. Yeah. So thanks for being here. It's just cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having us, man. We're excited.
Yeah. So
really cool what you guys are doing for Memphis music scene.
Right.
For sure.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is the second time I meet you, Mike. Well, I've seen you guys all perform a long time ago, and we'll talk about that, but I never met any of you. And then you were nice enough to come to me and Jeff's New Year's Eve gig.
We did.
At Sidecar. Yeah. You gave us T-shirts. It was you and your wife and Tim and his wife. Don't ask me to remember their names.
Yeah.
It's this, but you, for whatever reason, thought I was a skinny fella and took an XL.
We brought him a medium.
So I was like, man, I don't want to waste a shirt, and I gave it back to you. And then now, as you can see, he brought my shirt in, and I'm sporting it proudly today. So thank you for the shirt.
Yeah, that's that show you went to, and you said, man, I gave a shirt away, and that asshole gave it back.
Dude, I apologized. I talked about it in the next episode. I was like, Mike, please, I hope that wasn't awkward. Yeah. I wasn't like denying a Fevertree shirt. Are you kidding me?
Well, I told him you handed me a small. And I looked at it.
And then he woke up. So,
you hurt Tanya and Gina's feelings. That's our wives. But other than that,
thank you, Tanya and Gina.
Sorry.
Yeah. Anyone that listens to this show regularly, they will understand how bad I am with names.
I'm kidding. Man.
That's why I have this.
I need one of those.
And then now this is the first time I meet you, Rocko. So this is exciting too.
Cool,
and
man.
Fellow bass player, I'm gonna geek out big time.
This has become my favorite podcast. Just saying. Just because you're a fellow bass player.
Oh, and you know what? I know that because you give us love on social media, and you two, Mike and Tim and John, everyone. Yeah.
Big supporter, man.
It's awesome. Yeah, we really love it. And we're just, as my grandmother would say, tickled pink over this. So
she's from here.
Oh, is that a Southern thing? Tickled pink?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Of course.
Oh, I thought it was a French thing, but from Maine. You know, I'm from a Frenchy Maine family.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, going back to Pornhub, it means something totally different for me. So,
another feature coming today is we won't show you, but Rocko has his own candle line.
So that was actually a birthday present for my wife.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get into it. Let's just talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So last week or 2 weeks ago, this post comes up. Who posted it originally?
I don't know.
what was it?
Was it me?
I think it
Was
was
it me?
you.
Okay.
Oh, because you got a text.
Yeah. No, when I went to their rehearsal, that's sitting on the table when I sit down to start watching them play.
Yeah.
And I
It followed him around the
kinda
room the
looked,
entire night.
and then somebody make sure to spin it around where I could get the full view and explain to me.
It may have been me. That
So, yeah.
Well, Alex, if you haven't yet, throw this picture up, and then we're going to show the actual candle too.
So pay particular attention to the name of the scent.
So Yankee Candle is endorsing Rocko because he's so badass. And the scent is rock and roll cabbage.
Yeah.
Just flying off the shelves.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
And we can also give credit to Joe Biden, as you'll see.
Right. It sold one of one.
And this is and we're not lying. This is a real candle. It smells like cabbage.
I get the feeling we may be hearing from their attorneys before this is over.
Alex, again, I'll throw it in the middle camera. I know you saw this.
Just remember, Valentine's Day is coming up soon. So go ahead and go to fevertree.com and order yours today.
Yeah, you need to pre-order because, they just sell out.
Right.
Instantly.
So I just think that's hilarious. And as I got to know Tim now, and then when John was on here, shocker, we picked on Tim a little bit, and we brought up the fact that Tim basically forgot Rocko in his episode, and then Rocko released this awesome little post and making fun of Tim. So we love that you guys have such a great sense of humor. But please, let's talk about the origin of this candle. How did this come about?
Well,
I'm just trying to get rid of it.
It came with the shirt.
actually, I wasn't even in the band yet.
No, you weren't. I think you sat in with us that night.
I sat in with them, but I was an actual member of
And you
Fevertree.
still hired him?
That's what got
why
me in the
we
band.
hired him.
Oh, so this was done before. So this wasn't like a Fevertree joke where.
Oh no! I just barely met his wife, and it was her birthday.
Oh, so you just do this shit on your free time? You just love. Yeah.
Well, my wife said, "Hey, we're going to a birthday party," and I was like, "Okay." And they said, "Well, it's Mike's wife, Tanya." I said, "All right," and she's like, "Well, we got to get her something," and I went, "Oh, well, shit, I got that." And so I went to Yankee Candle, talked to them, showed them a picture, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're in." So I got a candle, but the bad thing was I didn't tell my wife about it. And I just put it in a nice little bag, and it was, like I said, I was hanging out with Fevertree, but I wasn't with them yet and stuff. And and we showed up at the birthday party, and I just put it in a little pretty bag on the table and stuff, and everybody's there, and everybody's opened their presents up, and I just leaned over and told Mike, I go, "Hey, look, no matter what happens, I'm not responsible if your wife gets pregnant after tonight." And Mike was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Well, you'll see."
Right.
And then, it was love in the air ever since that.
Love in the air.
Or cabbage.
Yeah, that nice cabbage
Rock and
aroma.
roll cabbage.
Yeah, let me see here.
No.
Oh, fuck, that's gross.
So I'm trying to put together a little cover band, and I sent all the guys who are interested in doing this a text this week, and I said, "I got a great band name. It's Rock and Roll Cabbage." And I got no response from anybody. Now you guys all know where that came from.
That was the inside joke.
Yeah.
But show them the candle. They'll change their minds.
Right.
Yeah. They'll change their mind about being in a band with you.
Probably so.
Well, while we're talking about the band now, after again talking to Tim, I know that Mike, you, Tim, and John have been together since day one, right? And then Rocko, you came in, what is it, a couple years in?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And you live in Missouri?
Yeah.
It's a hike, man.
Yeah.
So how did you get on Fevertree's radar? How did they get on your radar? Like, were you coming to Memphis on a regular basis? How'd that work?
So he's in a bike club.
A bike club?
Yes.
Yeah.
Motorcycle club.
Cool.
We played at one of their.
I wasn't expecting a little BMX club.
He actually rides a unicycle.
I was going to ask you to clarify.
That's okay. I accept all fat jokes. It's all right. So, no problem.
The old bike with the banana seat. Y'all remember the banana seats?
The big bar in the back.
Yeah.
The sissy bar. we played one of his functions, and he had a band that was playing in front of us.
Okay.
And we watched him play, and everybody was impressed with what he did. And then we talked to him, and he was so weird. That we were like, "Yeah, we got to get this guy."
You guys were like, "Why is he naked up there? What's going on?"
That night he wasn't naked. He did show us a calendar he had made, though.
Right? Yeah, like
I spared that. You guys that.
In my motorcycle club, I was president for 9 years, and we had this thing where we didn't let any of our members drive drunk at all. And but if you had to leave your motorcycle in our garage at our clubhouse. And so it just started where if you left your motorcycle there, I just took naked pictures on the motorcycle. And at the next club meeting, you got posterized by, and then I had so many naked pictures of me. The club actually made a calendar and a snow globe. I got a snow globe of me naked.
That explains why the night that I came to see you guys rehearse, Mike kept telling me, dude, you have to drive home. You can't leave your car.
That's exactly right.
Because you're going to get naked pictures of Rocko.
Jeff, off mic. We got to tell Rocko about Hog Rock.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there.
Oh, yes. We can't wait to talk to you about it. And we got a fucking crazy story from that place.
Everyone knew we were first timers.
Oh,
just because we were standing there going,
because you were gawking, wasn't you?
Oh, you had no idea what the
Hog Rock's a music festival that we played at, but maybe we can do a exclusive Patreon based podcast because it's X-rated. What we saw, who knows? Maybe it happens every time what we saw, but we won't.
Yeah, usually the ones that've been there for the first time, they do that. They stand in a group with people they're familiar with their mouths open.
Yeah. We need to do that with you. Like, since you know that place, we need to do that. We're going to do a fun X-rated
special
thing.
trip with Fevertree.
Right.
Absolutely. What was the band you were playing in that opened for Fevertree or came after or whatever?
Actually, it was, there's a little band that we had put together, and I still have it. It's just some buddies of ours that we play, and it was called the Delta Coalition. And just some really great friends of mine out of Paragould, Arkansas. And the biker event that we put on is a fundraiser for the Arkansas Children's Hospital every year. It's called the Angel Run. And every year we bring in bands and stuff. But luckily, being in the music scene down there, I was like, hey, I got 4 or 5 really good bands. And I had found them. I forgot who sent me a video, you guys, but it was on YouTube. And I was like, man, we got to get this band in because they're really good. And so I made sure that the little band I was in, I was like, we are going to open for them.
And what year around is this? Somewhere 16, 15?
Yeah.
Somewhere on there.
Yeah.
None of us have memories. So,
I have a pristine memory and great with names. So I get it.
But that was the first time I'd ever met the guys and stuff, and they were great. And they were excited because I was like, oh, man, the drummer, he plays a Tora. And he was like, this is going to be great. It didn't turn out that great, but it was nice. No, I'm kidding.
Love it.
No, but they came in and just rocked it, man. It was really impressive. And since that moment, I was a fan of Fevertree.
Yeah.
And so a couple of times that I had some other friends, like I was a hired gun for a while, and have a couple of really good friends that had really good bands, and they would hire me to come and fill in for them, and we would play in Memphis. And a lot of times we would, if I was in Memphis, I'd try to go catch them and hear them and stuff. And like I said, just from day one was a big fan, bought their album, and really dug it.
We had the first record out, and when he came in to jam with us the first time, like he knew it all, knew everything, it was, all right. So
that's what I'm talking about.
He's actually listened to it.
Yeah, that usually,
instead of
actually,
just
I forgot
the
first time I ever played with you, like your songs was at my wedding.
Yeah, I guess it was.
When me and my wife got married, we had a surprise wedding. It wasn't a plan. I mean, well, it was planned. Me and my wife planned it, but everybody that showed up at the wedding had no idea.
Because you were naked?
No, he was not that night.
I wasn't that night.
And we thank God for that.
Right.
I'm sure his wife's pretty happy about it too.
But their bass player wasn't going to be able to make it. They made it, and I'd made sure that I knew their music and stuff. And so after the wedding was done, it was a long story on how the wedding was, but it was a big festival. It wasn't a normal wedding.
Pretty cool.
And so I had all my Memphis friends, musicians that were there, and anyways, after the wedding was done, everybody got on stage, and like I said, we had instruments everywhere, and we all played. And that was the first time I ever actually got to play their music with them. I sat in and played with them before, but never played their music.
Gotcha.
And it's the best kind of respect for a band like Fevertree when someone sits in and you take the time to learn their originals. It's one thing to go up and let's jam all these different cover songs everyone knows.
Right.
That's all good and all, but when the originals are given that attention, that's respectful. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
the only nice thing he's ever done.
Well, it's because I'm limited on what I can do because Mr. Dills has me under a tight contract. So
that night's the night that we learned Tim could play harmonica at your wedding too.
Yeah, Tim.
Oh, cool.
It sounded like somebody hit a cat.
It was definitely not John Popper. I can tell you that. I mean,
John Popper.
Holy cow!
He gets.
Years ago, I saw Blues Traveler at a festival up in Maine, and in total, it was probably an hour of harmonica solos in a set. Yeah. Amazing, but
I saw him at the Beale Street Music Festival one year, and it was cool. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, they were great. Yeah.
I had a really good friend of mine who played music in my earlier days, and he was a big guy, and he looked just like Big John Popper, and he always wore the big black hat and everything. But one time we were playing at a club in Blytheville, Arkansas, and he's a big, my buddy's a big redneck cowboy kind of guy.
Right.
Anyways, when we started to play that night, this guy came up to me. He was like, "Who is that guy singing?" I was like, "You ain't gonna believe this. This is John Popper." Mm-hmm. That guy goes, "From Blues Travelers?" And I said, "Yeah." But I said, "You can't say nothing because, he doesn't want anybody to know he's here." So all night long, this guy was buying my buddy Sandman drinks, and he kept saying, "I know it's you, man. It's okay. Your secret's safe with me and stuff." Yeah. But what we didn't know at the time is that guy was gay, and he was hitting on my buddy. And the whole time he thought it was John Popper and stuff. My buddy was so mad after the show was over with. So,
I get scared when you tell a story because I don't know if it's real or if he's really fixing to just lay the hammer down and say it's all
this
bullshit.
is a safe place.
Yeah.
This is a safe place.
I'm not. I'll tell you the truth.
You should be scared. You should be very scared.
Be very afraid.
Yeah.
But Mr. Dills told me, he just said, we got on the podcast today. Just be real careful and just be respectful for the band and keep that in mind today. So I'm under lock and key.
I got you.
That's
Tim,
right.
Tim, I got your
NDA.
back.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I want to move to the song here, but before we do, let's interject some Pete here.
Yep.
And I want to play a clip from his episode. In this clip, he it's a great story too. He talks about how he auditioned for Jimmy Jamison, and it's awesome. It's a fun story. So enjoy this awesome clip from Pete, and we'll be right back.
And then one day, my wife and I she was my fiance at the time. We were fixing up our house, and I get a phone call from Jeff Adams.
Okay.
He goes, "Hey, Pete, this is Jeff Adams." I said, "Hey, man, I know you." He goes, "We're losing our drummer. Do you want to come in?" I said, "What band?" He goes, "Survivor."
Good. That bridges us to where we wanted to go with this too.
I'm too busy, Jeff. I can't come do Survivor.
And you're like, "Call me
that?"
tomorrow." But I was shocked because I knew about Jimmy even before he moved here.
Yeah.
He was the voice of Baywatch, Survivor, Cobra. And when I got that call, I was really just excited. Beyond.
How were you on their radar?
Apparently, Buddy Davis saw me play.
Who
Buddy Davis is the original guitar player for the band called Target.
Yep.
And he threw me to Jimmy, and then Jimmy had Jeff call me. They sent me a live tape, and I shedded on it for weeks. And I finally got to do the audition. And Dave Morshak plays into the story because he owned that studio.
Okay.
And I get there, and I'm setting up, and Chris Adamson was the guitar player, Jeff, and me. And it was just the three of us. Hal Butler, the keyboard player, wasn't there at the time. So we went and we played all the songs, and they went, "Jimmy's going to love you." And I was like, thank God. So Jimmy and Hal came in, and Jimmy saw how nervous I was. He could read it.
Sure.
Because I was starstruck. That was Jimmy Jamison.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even do one of the rockers first. He wanted to do a ballad. He wanted to find out what kind of ballad player I was.
Here you are, all tense and amped up.
Sweating. And he saw it. He read it. So he goes, "We'll do In Good Faith," which is on 1 Second's Count.
Okay.
Survivor. And him knowing how nervous I was, he decided to sing that song like Popeye. He sang the whole song because he's known for being a Popeye, imitator.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Well, not professionally, but
sure.
it's just
In
one
his
of those.
circles.
That's
hey,
what he
Jimmy,
did.
you Popeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when he saw how nervous I was, he did that, and that immediately broke the ice.
I bet.
Yeah.
Because hearing that voice coming from that monitor,
Yeah.
it's almost surreal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're hearing that voice. It's like, my gosh. So that broke the ice. We went through the whole set, and I got the gig.
So I bet no one was expecting a reference to Popeye in that.
No, not at all.
That's pretty cool. Though.
It's a really cool story. And I can imagine, it was probably, Rocko was probably equally as starstruck when he finally got to play with you guys.
When you
I was.
saw John Patterson.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, him and Mr. Dills. I mean, it was like, it's hard to compare the two. I click a little bit more with John because he's a drummer and stuff, and so we kind of share that. But Mr. Dills, when I met him, I was just like, dude, it is such an honor to meet you. And he was like, hey, you want to get up here and play a song with us? And I was like, oh my god, yes I do.
Yes, I do. Can you sign my candle?
I didn't care what it was.
Can you sign my candle?
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome clip from Pete. I love that story.
Very cool.
So let's start talking about the song.
Okay.
So it's Muddy Jesus.
Yes, sir.
And I dissected the song. Lots of questions, a lot of stuff I want to talk about, but let's now jump to the song. And I'm always trying to be transparent with our audience. And full disclosure, we're going to be editing this in post because it's also a video. But me and Jeff listened to it several times, and then we listened to it for with all four of us. So, that way we can really talk about it. But I hope you all enjoy this. It's an awesome lyric video. Rocko is in it in the last 10 seconds. And again, Muddy Jesus. Also, it's on Spotify.
Yeah.
And any other digital platforms or
all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We go through DistroKid.
Cool.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about your studio, the producer. We're going to talk about everything. So please enjoy their new single, Fevertree's new single,
Rock and Roll Cabbage.
Yes.
Muddy Jesus. That was Fevertree's new single, Muddy Jesus. Just a killer song. There's so many things I want to talk about in it. Like I said, I geeked out this morning. I had some free time, and I literally mapped out, almost like I was learning the song, minus learning the chords. I have like the whole format of your song here, but let's talk about the writing of it, and what's the genesis, and how did this come to be?
So it's actually a remake of Ian Moore song that came out in 1995.
I'm such a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You could have told me that, Jeff.
I kept it a secret on purpose.
So
What can I play? That is the proper sound for this.
Alex, I'm gonna need you to put in there a wah wah wah.
No, I have something. I have this.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay, start over.
That's okay. You're not the only one that's done this, because I let a friend of mine in Minnesota. He was a security guard, and I met him when I played with Black Oak, and he watched my vehicle for me for a weekend when we went to Sturgis. I was like, man, he's a big fan of Fevertree. And I said, hey, listen, I'm going to give you an inside sneak peek on this song. And I sent it to him, and he sent back, he's like, oh my God, that is the greatest Christian song I've ever heard in my life. And he was all stoked about it. And then somebody else I let listen to it. They were like, man, that's a great song you wrote. What was your thinking behind it? And I went, the border crisis down in Arizona and stuff.
The border crisis.
We're trying to be political.
So most people would edit that out and start over, but no, we don't do that. I don't. That's why I have the sounds, to make fun of myself. So that's awesome. That changes a lot of things. I wrote the lyrics out. And also I was expecting Tim to show up. Jeff didn't inform me in that. So I was going to get deep with Tim, be like, so, when you say charismatic cholo, some way he was born playing lucky, what did you mean by that?
Well, he had a bad experience at a Mexican restaurant.
Right.
The refried beans were really refried. Yeah.
So who's the original artist on this?
Ian Moore.
Ian Moore.
It was released in 1995.
Awesome. And is this something that is sort of been probably part of your performance? Is that why?
So it's kind of our closer. We've played it for a long time. It's morphed into a 8 to 10 minute live song. We cut it down to 6 minutes for the recording.
It's good. It's got the jam factor all over it.
It holds the same roots as the original, but it's definitely it's been remade. It's not just right. It's not.
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, it has the Fevertree sound.
Yeah, thank you. I think
the riffage and everything in there matches what you guys do.
Is that a word?
The
riffage?
Riffage.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said cabbage.
Riffage, cabbage.
Roughage.
Oh, that's my next candle. Rock and roll rippage.
So it's great. But I can still nerd out on this thing because
we can pretend like we wrote it, and you can ask us questions, and we'll give you honest opinion.
So what was the inspiration behind that solo, Mike? No. Now, did you take liberties on the solo? I've never heard the original. So
yeah, I mean, it's not. So there's a lead that kind of carries throughout the song, melodic lead that goes through it. He actually plays the sitar on one version. Ian Moore does. That's along those lines.
Yes.
And so I kind of mimicked what the sitar was doing a little bit.
Yep.
Of course, it's electric guitar.
You added some cool, Jeff Beck-ish kind of whammy bar stuff.
Thank you.
That fit in that. No, seriously, it's the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm not trying to blow smoke here, but and it's funny you say sitar. That's the vibe I was trying to catch on that when I listened to that. That sort of has like a Mid-Eastern kind of vibe to it.
Yep. It's we've played that song for a long time. We really have. We started doing covers when we all first got together, like Tim explained. I think when he was in here, and that was one of the first ones. And like Tim said too, we decided we're going to play the covers we want, not what people want to hear,
and make them your way.
So that one's evolved into pretty much every time we play somewhere, that's our closer.
And you put the Fevertree stamp on it and kind of took liberties. It's awesome.
And it goes on and on and on sometimes.
No, that's cool. Unfortunately, Derek and I, we don't make it to the end of the show. So we haven't seen you guys play that one live. But next trip out to see Fevertree, we will stay till the end.
While we're saying that, February 19th at Neil's, Fevertree will be performing for the Kitchen and the Cross benefit. So
feed the homeless.
We will be there for that. So I will get to hear your new original single.
We've never recorded a cover or a remake like this, so we were pretty excited about it.
If Van Halen can do it,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I think we should sell candles at that event.
I'll give you one.
So let's talk about the sound and where it was recorded and who produced it. So that was the first thing I hear is these just massive drums. Of this guy named John and
Mr. Patterson.
Yeah. So let's talk about it was at Supernova Sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Sound
Dave
Memphis.
Cowell.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about the recording.
Yeah, he's an engineer. Dave is Matt Montgomery and him are. I think Matt owns the studio, and they've partnered up at Supernova. I think it's Supernova Sound Memphis.
Okay.
Is the full name of it. Just a phenomenal place to go to. If you're a guitar player, go there.
Yeah.
I will include the links to Supernova
Yeah.
in the descriptions, along with obviously all the Fevertree stuff. So
Yeah.
The number of amplifiers and guitars and things that are in there is insane.
more than your rehearsal space, which will be coming up in discussion.
Cabinet-wise, no, but head-wise, yes, and guitar-wise, yes. Yeah.
So when was the recording?
When we go in right at the first of the year.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
So recent.
Month and a half ago.
So you just went in there and punched. Yeah, I mean, you guys knew the song, so you guys.
It was a quick one.
You guys punched it in. Basically live with maybe some overdubs here and there.
Well,
obviously, there's two guitar parts in moments. So
it's tracked. I mean, we went in and we cut a couple of dummy tracks and or scratch tracks, and then John played to those in the click. And then we came back in, and I think we put the rhythm guitars in, and the bass and vocals, and I came in back and put the fairy dust on it after that.
You know what's funny? When he just talked about
everything about this interview has been funny.
When he talked about John playing to the scratch track, I realized that he talked about that in his interview.
Yeah.
And I was here. Right on. So anyone that really pays attention, they're going to be like, Derek, they actually did tell you this. So I'm just an idiot. But all right. So then after the drums, now we're going to talk to Rocko here.
All right.
I'm just going to sit over here and hang out.
Your fucking bass is badass, man.
Thanks, man.
And off your last album, your last album, I played it in the car one day, and it was just like huge sound, big bass, you know. So then for this song, you kick in, and it's just this cool groove that you play with John. I'm wondering, did you play with a pick for that?
No.
That's awesome, man.
No, I have a crazy technique when I play.
Don't show them.
Yeah, I can't show you. It's weird. It sounds like I'm playing with a pick, but I'm not. I grow my fingernails out. So
cool.
I thought you were gonna.
I mean, we can geek out on this because there's also finger style. You can punch the strings. You can punch them to get that.
I was afraid he's going to take his clothes off.
Now, there's an old style that I play with my index finger, and I play, hits like that, and just, it sounds like a pick. And there's times whenever I need that sound. Yeah. I've tried to play with picks before. I lose it. And
it has that top end attack,
right?
Like a pick, with all that groove and everything. So that's awesome. What were you playing? What's your bass? And
I've got on that one there, I was playing a Lakeland 5594, and
nice.
That's kind of like my go-to. It's a 5-string, and there's a lot of the songs that we play, I need the B string on. So I play that one. I have another bass that I got sponsored by through a company called Gamma, and it's a 4-string, and it's pretty much like a P bass style. And I haven't cut anything with that one yet, but that's a good bass for me to play too. So,
what do you play live? Rig wise, amp wise,
Ampeg.
Yeah,
same here. I go depending on the venue and stuff. Most of the bigger venues, I have 412s, and I play with the SV4 Pro. Yeah, I like the sound. I mean, on stage, the punch and the sound of the 12s give me what I like.
Hell yeah!
And but like a lot of times in the smaller venues, I'll just play a regular 410 cabinet.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Another reason I have all those.
Yeah, you got to keep up.
Right.
You got to keep up, Mike.
Yeah, well, Mr. Dills told me I couldn't bring the big amp in. So he's like, you go in the corner and you stay right there. He says, you plug in. He says, and when you do good interviews and you do better, he said, I'll give you more amperage in rehearsal.
Amperage. So, for years, I always did the 410, Ampeg. Hard key for a long time. Then I finally got standard Ampeg, industry standard Ampeg. And then last summer, when I knew I was going out with Derek Joseph, I'm like, man, treat yourself, man. We play, these festivals and fairs. So I bought a second cab, and finally, for the first time for decades, I had that nice wall of 810s behind me. Man, it was great.
Yeah, I got the old refrigerator amp. I bought an 810 cabinet from Matt Montgomery.
Yeah.
He was like, man, come get this. He said it's just too huge and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to transport, right?
Right. Well, at the time I had a Kia Soul, so I put that 810 cabinet in a Kia Soul and brought that home.
Holy shit.
And of course, my lovely wife, she kept going, do you really need anything else? And I go,
Yes.
yeah. I'm a bass player. I was like, I don't drink and I don't do drugs, so I buy amps and stuff. So.
There you go.
But I got a pretty decent Ampeg collection,
Right.
but nothing great. But I mean, like I said, depends on where you play. Places like Neil's, man, they got a great sound guy there. He's awesome, and so I don't have to take in, the 412s or nothing. I just bring in a cabinet, kind of bass down.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I love the mix at Neil's.
Love to Richard. That's who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Richard's
he's awesome.
A great sound guy.
He really is.
And my tone on the album, though, I had to give David Cowell a lot of credit on that, because after we did the scratch track on it, and we were listening to it, and he was just like, all right, what do you play out of, Rock? And I was like, well, I got an SV4 Pro head Ampeg, and I got that. And so we were going through a couple of things, and he says, what are you looking for? I said, man, I just want something nasty. I said, I just want something, just bad nasty. And he was like, well, let's try a few things. And within a matter of just a few tricks, man, David had me dialed in exactly what I was wanting, the tone that I like and everything. And
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, David Cowell is just amazing what he does. Cool. I mean, he's an artist in alone, just what he does.
Well, I haven't met David yet, just through Facebook, but I met Matt in person last week.
Mm-hmm.
And super nice guy, and just said, yeah, you guys got to come check the studio out. And then like, yeah, you don't have to twist my arm. I'll be there.
You need to go check out Matt's guitar collection.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard about that.
That's
crazy.
Matt's as good as they come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be making a trip to see that studio in the near future.
Absolutely. So I know by now Tim is sick of hearing from Rocko. So
Mr. Dills.
He did send me a text and he said, Rock, calm down. And I sent back, okay, Mr. Dills.
We're streaming live like a secret feed to Tim right now. He didn't want to feel left out.
Well, I'm not allowed to go alone without him live feeding. So
he's monitoring everything.
Remember what he told you, for the love of God, Rocko. Take it easy on here.
I said, yes, sir, Mr. Dills, I will.
Well, Mike, let's talk about your gear in the studio, and then let's tie this into your rehearsal space. Jeff was fortunate enough to visit your rehearsal space. Another thing you didn't tell me about, but the pictures are badass. I mean, it's a great space. It's featured in the video. Anyone that just just watched this video, you guys have photos of it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, walls of cabinets and guitars and everything. So what do you got going on in there, sir?
So those are all greenback loaded Celestion cabinets from the 70s. Most of them are. I kind of went on a I don't know, looking for these things over the years, because that's the sound of the speaker I like, and they're getting harder to find. People are tearing them up. And my best sounding cabinet actually is beat to death and on its last leg. I'm waiting for the speakers to die at any point, but that's when they sound the best. So that's the most of them anyway, are all from the mid 70s.
I mean, how many cabinets do you have?
A bunch.
Because it covers the walls.
There's a lot.
It's like an AC/DC concert in there. Seriously.
9, I guess.
That's awesome.
But I only use one.
Yeah.
2, actually, because I got a little stereo thing going.
As far as his wife's concerned, he has 3. So,
and I'm the I'm the quietest one in there.
Is it quiet like this?
Denied.
That was the wrong button. I'm just going to stop. It was supposed to be crickets. It was supposed to be this. Okay. Anyways.
Yep.
That's usually what we hear after Patterson makes a joke about something. Yeah, that's what that is.
So
there's that. I use a Bogner head. It's a Marshall plexi-based head. It's the modifications he used to make on Marshalls before he started making his own line of amplifiers. He took all those mods and dumped them in a head. What he did. So it's more classic Marshall than like the Bogner stuff you hear that are on the heavier albums. And that's pretty much it. I got a couple of delays going, and my pedal board looks big, but there's not a lot going on in it. It's just because I have several delays that are set at different times is all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good sign. Some people overuse pedals, and when we had Josh Haynes in here, I wanted to bring up his tones because he covers so many different tones and bands and everything. And it's like 3 different patches. That's it, you know, and that's great that he can work with that and make everything sound unique.
Old Wayne Walker from the Fast Mothers, every time he sees my board, he's like, what the hell is all this stuff? I'm like, it's just literally a few delays in a wall. That's what it amounts to.
I've asked that same question of Jeff Cobble.
I was just going to bring him up.
Times, yeah. The problem with his is it usually doesn't work.
Well, the more pedals, the more possibility of connection issues.
I sat down and hand soldered my entire board. It took me like a week to get because for that reason, I got tired of it breaking down. And I'm like, okay. And I haven't had any issues out of it.
I'm straight into the amp. How about you, Rocko? Do you do anything?
I have a few pedals I use just because at the time, like I said, when I was playing with different bands, I had to have a different tone for some of the covers that we were doing. But I used 3 pedals, but the 3 pedals I used were all built by Matt Montgomery.
Man.
Matt builds pedals, and his pedals, his pedals are awesome.
Yeah, I need to mention that too. So when I was there, we used his, have you guys heard of a Klon? The Klon pedal that's going for $4,000 or $5,000 now.
Nope.
No. So he has a thing. It's called a Klon. He calls it a Klon-like, and it looks like the Klondike bar. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I've seen pictures now that you say that.
In the studio when we recorded, we used the Klon-like to boost the signal to get a little more out of it. And it next to the original Klon blows it out of the water. And it actually, I immediately bought one from him, that very one, and stuck it on my board. Yeah. As soon as we left the studio, that's how good it is.
And it wasn't $5,000?
It was not.
Okay.
It was not. If it was, it would still be there.
Yeah, Matt builds some pretty awesome pedals.
Yeah, he does. So I'm floored by the way that pedal's. Yeah. It doesn't like completely change. It colors the tone very nicely. Oh,
that's good info for all you guitar players that are listening. That does me no good. I'm a drummer, and I use pedals too, but they're totally different.
Yeah, there was a moment where you and Jacob Turner was in here.
Yep,
and just like me and Rocko.
Yeah,
and you said, "I'm out."
Yeah,
same thing. You and Jacob went off. I was like, "Cool."
Yeah,
I get a few minutes off here.
Right,
done carrying the weight.
I think you guys need a third member that's a guitar player. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You bring up a good question. But first, there's something I want to ask you there. But let's go back to Pete here.
Yep.
So we're gonna do another clip of our friend Pete Mandillo.
Yeah.
And dude was nominated for a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome, and of course we wanted to talk to him about that. And this is the moment when we did. Enjoy.
Yep. Awesome.
Pete, you are a Grammy-nominated drummer.
That's true.
That's pretty incredible. And we want to talk about that.
Okay.
So it was Bobby Rush?
Bobby Rush down in Louisiana, 2012 or 13. I'm sorry, I can't remember the date because the time I was sleeping and the producer / keyboard player, Paul Brown, who played with Bobby at that time, and he kind of still does. I got a phone call at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And I pick it up, and it's Paul Brown, and he's, "Hey, man, what's going on?" Because that's how he talks. And he goes, "You're nominated for a Grammy." And I just sat there, and I was half asleep, and I went, "Great. Let me call you back." And I lay back down, and it was like out of a TV sitcom. I just went,
"What did he just say?"
What? So I got my act together, and I called him back. He goes, "Yeah, we're nominated, the whole band."
That's awesome.
And Bobby made it clear that if anything happened with that band, he was going to spread it out.
That's great.
It was umbrellaed that if he got nominated, if he got anything out of it, it was a band.
Right.
And that's how that happened.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
That clip was brought to you by Rock and Roll Cabbage.
Yeah.
a major sponsor of the podcast.
Pete's laughing right now.
Premier sponsor.
The fresh cabbage.
Premier sponsor.
So, real quick, I'm going to throw out the 3 times I got to meet the fella. Back in 2006 at the Horseshoe, he was playing with a band, I think it was called Beat Nation. Can't remember again. Shocker, I can't remember. It's this awesome British music cover band. And many years later, we went to see him perform with Area 51 at Dan McGuinness. And by now we knew he was scheduled for the podcast. I just couldn't wait to talk about that band.
Yeah.
I didn't bring it up then. He sat with us during a break. And then I got to hang with him again here in the studio. Totally blessed for that. I was able to talk about that first time I met him. It was like 3 a.m, 2006. Obviously, I didn't expect him to remember me, but he was such a nice guy. It was great.
Yep. And I don't know if he ever mentioned in his interview that we did with him, Tom, Dick, and Harry, but Pete did a stint with Tom, Dick, and Harry, another local cover band back in the day too, which was John Roth, Corey Myers, Pete, and then Ted Parton. It was a great cover band.
All the different bands those guys have played with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just tentacles just go crazy. Yep. So when you were joking with Jeff about adding a third guitar player or whatever, have you guys ever thought about adding a fifth member? You guys ever thought about adding another guitar player or anything?
It's crossed my mind, but I don't know. We have so much fun like we are. And,
Mr. Dills is still regretting hiring the bass player. So.
That's true. He wants to go 3-piece.
As everybody knows, personalities are a huge part of it.
Right.
I mean, you guys have an intense, insane, awesome chemistry personally.
Like I said,
it works.
You must have thick skin to be in this band.
Must.
And finding a fifth person with that thick of a skin may be a little difficult. I don't know.
You never know. It wouldn't.
We've kicked it around, but we said that if we did, it would need to be somebody that was versatile, somebody that maybe played keyboards and guitar,
utility guy.
Because I obviously asked because when you guys record, you're adding multiple guitar tracks, and then it's just hard to duplicate that on stage. But then you guys get that cool raw 3-piece vibe when you guys are jamming too.
Yeah,
you guys keep it loose and jam out. It's awesome.
Absolutely. We actually, that's part of where his bass tone he's talking about. When we sat down in kind of a pre-production meeting, just talking to Dave and what we're going to, he asked me, he said, well, during guitar solos are going to be rhythm tracks. And I said, I'd really rather there not be behind the main solo anyway, because I like the way it is live with. So that's when he told you that he was going to give you a bass tone like an elephant dong. And,
like an elephant dong.
And I think he found it.
That's actually what I named my pedal that Matt built me, was elephant dong. So
I'm so glad I thought of this because when I forget with all the bands that come in here, I always forget to ask the origin of the name. And when we recorded with Tim and John, I kept forgetting to ask. So I'm going to ask you. I know Rocko came in after here.
So,
but where did Fevertree come from?
We used to rehearse at John's place when we first got together the first 4 or 5 years, actually, maybe longer. And we were sitting in his rehearsal room, and after a nice bottle of bourbon between the 3 or 4 of us, going through names, and we were listening to Brother Kane, right? And a song called, I think it's That Don't Satisfy Me. There's a lyric or a line in it that says, you got me hanging from a fever tree. And when it played, we all went, yeah. So, a lot of thought went into it. For sure.
Well, I mean, that's awesome that it happened, because in every situation in cover bands, you got to think of our name. I'm the worst. I hate it.
Yeah.
Thinking of a name is just,
And I think it's actually a tree somewhere in Africa that people go to seek solace or something. So it kind of has a little meaning behind it other than a bottle of bourbon.
Well, the name of my next band is from a candle that is sitting right here, Rock and Roll Cabbage.
Absolutely.
So
the name of the first album is going to be I Did That.
So for the sake of time, I want to sneak in the third clip for Pete, and we're going to come back from that, and then we're going to wrap things up with Fevertree. So this clip is Pete talking about Area 51.
Awesome.
I thought that was fitting because that was the band that he's been playing with for years now, and that was his last gig, right, with them. So I hope you enjoy this clip with Pete talking about his brothers, Area 51.
All right, Area 51. We've chronologically come to the present.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing now.
That's what I'm doing.
Tell us who's in that band, what it's about, how it formed, and where you go from here.
Area 51 was born out of a band called The Lineup, which was David Kurtz, Dave Smith,
Love
me,
The Lineup.
Josh, and Kenny Long.
Yep.
David Kurtz wanted to do his original project,
Yep.
so that band kind of faded out. So Josh and I said, let's keep this going. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
So we got David Haynes on keyboards, who's a brilliant keyboard player.
Yep.
Josh Haynes on guitar, myself, and that's it. This is just Lance Binder.
Lance.
Oh, sorry, Lance. I know, I'm so tired.
Well, the first thing that we noticed when we saw you guys live was Lance. He is a ball of energy.
He is Tigger on bass.
He is. He's the one that is the focal point.
Yeah.
Because he's just so energetic.
Oh, it's
and he's
nonstop.
A monster bass.
And then during the set break, he's drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Just what he needs.
Right.
And sometimes a Red Bull.
And we've talked about Area 51 on a couple of the episodes that we've already done. And we talked about it earlier, but the songs you guys do are not songs you hear every day by every cover band. And there's a reason for it, because they're very challenging vocally and instrumentally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing Boston, you're doing Styx
and Rush and Yes.
Yeah.
And 3 strong vocals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You, Lance, and Josh.
Yeah.
Because you sing a couple solos.
I sing only one spot in a Starship song, but that's the only thing I've done. I don't really sing much anymore except for background vocals.
You're hitting some falsetto back there.
Yeah.
That adds so much.
And that you guys did We Built This City.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there and we looked at each other like, never heard this song covered in my life. You just killed it.
You can't miss Sledgehammer. That was my favorite. That was the highlight of my time that I was there that night. We had to leave, third set or so.
And we did talk after we left that there was a couple of songs we would like to request, and I'm going to put you on the spot right here on the air, but we would love to hear some Huey Lewis. And you may have done it. We left early that night.
Yeah, we don't do it, but we have talked about it.
Oh, Walking on a Thin Line. Yeah,
Jacob's Ladder.
Anything by Huey.
Yeah.
But
I love Huey's hits.
That's on the to-do list.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. Any of those hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Man.
That was great.
Such a bummer, but we love you, Pete. We'll always remember Pete. So
they're a phenomenal band.
They were great.
No question.
Yeah. And I'll give a shout out to Sean Few. I can't go an episode without. He comes up every episode.
Yeah.
But we went to see him, and formerly known as at Neil's a few weeks ago. And before the show, he's like, "Hey, we learned Huey Lewis in the News for you." I was like, "Really?" He's like, "I heard you talking about it." And they played
Power of Love.
Power of Love. It was so cool. Thanks, Sean.
That's cool.
Yeah. Thanks for paying attention, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, look, guys, man, thanks so much for doing this, man. This has been awesome.
Thanks for having us.
I hope you have much success with your new original single. No, just kidding. No. Check out their. It is a single though.
It is.
So Muddy Jesus. It's on all digital platforms. And the song will also be clipped for our Facebook page, so it'll be kind of released solely like that.
Yep.
We do. That's great.
We do have studio time booked into February, and there's 3 more dates after that I can't remember, and it's going to be more original music.
Awesome.
Well,
Ooh, special announcement.
I think we're invited to go
yes,
see all that.
absolutely.
I'm just putting them on the spot.
Can I go this time?
Yeah, you can go this time.
Good.
Yeah.
Can
I saw that picture of Jeff on Facebook. I was like, what the hell's going on?
And he just wanted to gripe at me because I called him from the driveway, and he's like, I couldn't come anyway.
Yeah, I had a thing with my daughter, so it's all good. Again, February 19th, Kitchen and the Cross, the Cross at Neil's.
Yes,
and looking forward, we will be there. So that's great. And it's just neat now, having met all of you. It's fun for me and Jeff to now go see you bands perform after meeting them, and it's just fun. I'll be sporting the Fevertree shirt.
Awesome.
Know it. I'll bring the candle.
Well, and I think I may have a shirt made up.
All right.
Of Rock and Roll Cabbage.
We really should.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious. We got a little merch money left.
Those shirts would be really expensive. Like $100 a piece.
Collector's items.
Collector's items.
I don't think you could give them away.
Well, before we say our official buys, Jeff, let's talk to the audience and give them some info. So again, tell them where we can be heard. And
always
found
on Facebook and YouTube. That's where you can get the video. You can get the audio, and the video comes out on Monday evenings, 6 p.m. Central. The audio comes out in the morning when you wake up. It'll be out there, and you can catch that on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple.
Yeah, sharing is caring.
Yeah,
you guys do an awesome job at it already, but something as simple as sharing a post goes a long way. It really helps the reach. And as we're trying to build this reach, I have full intentions on sponsoring this podcast.
Yeah.
Much like my other podcast, The Real Hernando. We'll be looking for a title sponsor, Memphis Music Group.
Yankee Candle Company.
You heard me. Memphis Drum Shop. Just just throwing that shit out there. You never know what happens. But,
never know.
And then we can really do some fun shit.
Yeah.
So click our Patreon link. Go sign up for that tip jar. And then patronize my business if you'd like. ShelbyRoweProductions.com. Check it out. If anyone's out there interested in starting a podcast, let me know. You'll talk to me directly. So,
and I know you love the song you just heard. Make sure you reach out to these guys in Fevertree and let them know what you think, because that goes a long way to musicians. They love hearing that you enjoy what they put their heart and soul into.
Yeah. Share our guest stuff too. All the links, every episode we put out there, we put all the proper links for each guest in the description area, and no exception here for Fevertree. So, Rocko, man, thanks so much.
Thank you, man. And I just want to thank you guys for everything you do.
Thanks,
when you
brother.
had Mr. Dills on, we had we had billions of emails about the bass player, and so Mr. Dills allowed me to come today. Thank you, Mr. Dills, for letting me.
Yes, we all appreciate that, Tim. Thank you. But Rocko, pleasure meeting you, man.
You too, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks to Rocko.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yes, Mike. Awesome seeing you again.
Thank you.
So this is
thank you.
This is number 2 here, and again, thanks for the shirt, y'all.
Absolutely.
This is awesome, and thanks for coming out to our gig on New Year's. That was a lot.
Enjoyed it. Thank you.
So, all right, everyone. I hope we did Pete right. We tried our best to put him in this episode and celebrate his life. Hope you enjoyed his clips.
And that said, I also want to say, Carolyn, we love you. We're thinking of you. But sorry for your loss. This is it's hit everybody in this community. So
yeah, it's going to be a while before things kind of go back to normal, if it ever will. But Jeff, I know he was close to you, so my thoughts and prayers for you too. And I love you, man.
Yep.
And anytime you need to talk, you can talk to Rocko.
Yeah.
So, anyways, y'all, thanks so much for listening. Y'all have a good day.
See ya.